Right now, without a warrant, without your knowledge, and without making a single phone call, someone inside a windowless building in Maryland can pull up everywhere you've been in the last 90 days. Everyone you've called, every search you made at 2 a.m. when you thought no one was watching. The NSA processes over 1.5 billion pieces of communication every single day. Emails, messages, location pings, financial signals, metadata from devices that never leave your pocket. Most people know this exists. Nobody knows what it actually looks like from the inside. Today, you're not the one being watched. Today, you're the one watching. Level 1. The offer you can't explain. You're 23 years old, 2 months out of your computer science degree, standing at a university career fair when a man in a gray suit hands you a business card. No agency name, no logo, just a phone number. When you call it, the first thing they say is, "Don't tell anyone you called." Over the next 9 months, your entire life is dismantled and examined. Financial history, relationships, every address you've ever lived at, every person who's ever known you. You sit in a government building and take a polygraph test for 4 hours. They ask you questions you didn't expect. You answer them honestly, mostly. The NSA is one of the largest employers of mathematicians and computer scientists on Earth. They don't advertise openly. They find people quietly in specific places, looking for specific profiles. You matched. A letter arrives. Civilian employment, competitive salary. Location listed as Fort Meade, Maryland. The actual job description is 3 lines long and tells you almost nothing. You sign before you fully understand what you signed. You tell your parents you got a government IT job. You haven't signed anything yet, and you already know too much to walk away clean. Level 2. Orientation at Fort Meade. The facility is bigger than most towns. Fort Meade covers over 350 acres. 30,000 employees and contractors move through it every day. When you arrive on your first morning, your phone is taken at the gate. Not checked, taken. You get it back when you leave. You pass through 3 layers of biometric security before you reach the orientation room. There are no windows. You sit with 11 other new analysts and spend the next 4 hours signing documents. Non-disclosure agreements, binding for life, extending beyond employment. Some of them extending beyond death, meaning what you learn here follows you into whatever comes after. The legal penalties for breach are serious enough that your supervisor doesn't need to explain them twice. A senior official stands at the front of the room and says something you won't forget. Your first obligation is no longer to yourself. It's not to your family. It's to the mission. If those ever come into conflict, the mission is what you protect. You nod, everyone nods. The NSA's budget is classified. The full scope of its programs is classified. Some of the programs themselves are classified above the clearance level of most members of Congress. You are about to be handed access to a system that the people who fund it aren't allowed to fully see. You came in as a person with a name. You leave orientation as a clearance level. Level 3, the metadata ocean. Your first real assignment is not exciting. You sit at a terminal in a room with 40 other analysts. You are processing metadata, not content, metadata. Call records, duration, frequency, who called whom, when, from where, and how often. No names on most of it, just numbers, patterns, signals in an ocean of noise. 40,000 data points before lunch. After the Snowden disclosures in 2013, the world learned that the NSA had been harvesting bulk call records from hundreds of millions of Americans under Section 215 of the Patriot Act. What the news coverage couldn't fully explain was what it feels like to sit inside that data every day and work through it. It feels like math. That's the first thing they take from you without asking. The part of your brain that connects a phone number to a human being sitting somewhere, living a life, making a call that now appears on your screen as a data point to be flagged or dismissed. You tell yourself it's not surveillance, it's pattern recognition. You tell yourself the difference matters. A flag appears in the system, a specific number, unusual contact frequency with a foreign prefix. You mark it. You pass it up the chain, your supervisor nods. It's a clean day's work. The moment you stop seeing phone numbers as people is the moment this job gets very easy and very dangerous. Level 4, first eyes on. 6 months in your clearance upgrades, you're moved to a different floor, different terminals, different access. Your supervisor sits beside you on your first day in the new system, enters a command, and shows you X-key score. According to documents reported by The Guardian in 2013, X-key score is a system that allows analysts to search through vast databases of emails, online chats, and browsing histories. You enter a selector, an email address, a phone number, an IP address, and within seconds you have content. Not metadata, content. real emails, real messages, real browsing history. Your supervisor uses a test account, a dummy identity built for training purposes. You type in the address, hit enter, and watch an entire digital life appear on your screen. Emails to a doctor, a message to a romantic partner, search histories that would embarrass anyone. No warrant was filed for this demonstration. You ask your supervisor what the authorization process looks like for a real target. They explain that at your level, oversight is logged internally. You document your justification, you submit it to the system, you proceed. You wait for the part where someone external checks your work. It doesn't come. The law says they need a warrant to read your mail. The system says otherwise, and the system is significantly faster. Level 5, the target gets a face. Your first named target is a man in his mid-30s, not a number, a name, a photograph already pulled from a social media profile your system located in 40 seconds. He lives in a mid-sized American city. He works a regular job. He made contact 3 times in 6 weeks with a number connected to a foreign intelligence flag 2 hops away through a contact chain. 2 hops, the contact of a contact. You spend 3 weeks inside this man's life. His emails reveal a marriage under serious financial pressure. His location data shows a pattern. Same parking lot. Tuesday evenings regular as a clock. His browsing history is private in the way everyone's private browsing history is private. The kind of searches people make because they believe they're alone. He doesn't know you exist. You know things about him that his wife doesn't know. Things his closest friends have never been told. You build a full behavioral profile, contact map, risk indicators, psychological markers. At the end of 3 weeks, your assessment is clean. Low probability, no credible threat. The file is flagged for passive monitoring and you move to the next target. You never learn his name again. The file closes. He goes back to his parking lot on Tuesday evenings, completely unaware that for 3 weeks, a stranger in a windowless building read every word he wrote. You know more about a complete stranger than anyone in their life, and you will never, ever be allowed to tell them. Level 6, foreign soil. 18 months in, you're deployed. Your official title at the U.S. Embassy is technical attaché. Your real function is known to exactly 4 people in the building. You are here to run SIGINT collection on the communications of this country's government, a close American ally, a democracy, a country whose citizens believe the relationship with America is one of mutual respect. The NSA operates through what's known as the Five Eyes, a formal intelligence sharing alliance between the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Partner agencies share raw surveillance data under binding agreements, but allies outside that circle are not off limits. In 2013, reports confirmed that the NSA had monitored the personal mobile phone of a sitting German chancellor. The German government demanded an explanation. The explanation was never fully given. You intercept a communication between 2 senior government officials in the country you're stationed in. They're discussing a trade negotiation, privately, candidly, in a way that reveals their actual bottom line, the number they'll actually accept, not the number they've publicly stated. You write the report. 3 days later, the American negotiating position shifts in ways you recognize immediately. Your analysis just moved a significant amount of money, quietly, invisibly, in a way no newspaper will ever report. Your performance review that quarter uses the phrase exceptional analytical work. They told you this was about keeping people safe. What you just did had nothing to do with safety. Level 7, the program above programs. You're called into a room you've never been cleared for before. There's no nameplate on the door, no internal directory listing. 2 people are already sitting when you arrive. Neither of them introduces themselves by name. A senior official places a tablet in front of you and walks you through a program that does not appear anywhere in the NSA's official internal structure. According to documents reported by the Washington Post in 2013, a program codenamed Muscular tapped the fiber optic cables connecting Google and Yahoo data centers overseas, capturing data outside the legal framework that governed domestic collection. Another program, Turbine, was described as an automated system capable of deploying implants across millions of devices simultaneously, without individual human authorization for each one. The program you're being shown tonight operates on a logic you can't fully process in the room. It isn't targeted. It isn't looking for flags. It isn't pattern matching against known threat signatures. It is simply recording everything, passively, continuously, indefinitely, with a storage architecture designed to hold the data until a query makes it relevant, potentially years after the original capture. Who authorized this program, you ask? The senior official looks at you the way teachers look at students who ask questions slightly outside the lesson plan. That question, they say, sits above your current clearance level. You walk out of that room and stand in the corridor for a long moment. The most unsettling thing isn't the scale of what you just saw, it's that nobody in that room seemed to know who was ultimately in charge of it. Level 7. The program above programs. You're called into a room you've never been cleared for before. There's no nameplate on the door, no internal directory listing. Two people are already sitting when you arrive. Neither of them introduces themselves by name. A senior official places a tablet in front of you and walks you through a program that does not appear anywhere in the NSA's official internal structure. According to documents reported by the Washington Post in 2013, a program codenamed Muscular tapped the fiber optic cables connecting Google and Yahoo data centers overseas, capturing data outside the legal framework that governed domestic collection. Another program, Turbine, was described as an automated system capable of deploying implants across millions of devices simultaneously, without individual human authorization for each one. The program you're being shown tonight operates on a logic you can't fully process in the room. It isn't targeted. It isn't looking for flags. It isn't pattern matching against known threat signatures. It is simply recording everything, passively, continuously, indefinitely, with a storage architecture designed to hold the data until a query makes it relevant, potentially years after the original capture. Who authorized this program, you ask? The senior official looks at you the way teachers look at students who ask questions slightly outside the lesson plan. That question, they say, sits above your current clearance level. You walk out of that room and stand in the corridor for a long moment. The most unsettling thing isn't the scale of what you just saw, it's that nobody in that room seemed to know who was ultimately in charge of it. Level 8, the choice. You sit at your terminal on an ordinary Tuesday morning and you think about everything you know. You think about the man in the parking lot on Tuesday evenings. You think about the allied government officials whose private strategy became American leverage. You think about a program with no oversight trail you can locate and a question about authorization that nobody was willing to answer. You know the official pathways: internal inspector, general complaints, congressional notification requests, all of them classified proceedings, all of them opaque to the public. You know what happened to the analysts and contractors who tried those pathways before you: Thomas Drake, William Binney, Kirk Wiebe, federal investigations, career destruction, FBI agents at the door at dawn. And then there was Edward Snowden, 29 years old, a contractor at a facility not unlike this one, who looked at roughly the same architecture you've been living inside and decided the public had a right to know. He flew to Hong Kong in May of 2013 with documents copied onto drives. He has lived in exile ever since. You are not him. You're also not sure you disagree with what he did. You sit with that thought for a long time. The system's most sophisticated security feature is not technological. It's this exact moment, this exact feeling, the certainty that you are one person, that the institution is enormous, that the legal tools available to you lead to rooms with no exits, and that the silence of every person who sat in this chair before you was not cowardice. It was just arithmetic. You log out of your terminal at the end of your shift. You collect your phone at the gate. You drive home past ordinary people living ordinary lives inside systems they can't see and didn't consent to. You say nothing because that's what they trained you to do. And some training never really turns off.